Have you ever paused and wondered what's actually happening inside your body when you have a drink? Well, in this explainer, we are uncorking the science of alcohol. We're going to break down what's in your glass and exactly how it affects you, all based on the work of a top toxicologist.
So, where's all this info coming from? Our guide today is the book, The Science of Drinking. And the author, Dr. Amitava Dasgupta, isn't just a writer, he's a practicing board-certified toxicologist. So you can be sure that everything we're about to get into is grounded in some serious real-world science. All right, let's dive right in with the big question the book asks right from the start. What happens when that drink you're holding turns into a buzz? It sounds like a simple question, right? But the answer, well, it pulls back the curtain on some pretty fascinating science about how our bodies handle alcohol. But before we can even get to the buzz, we got to make sure we're all on the same page. Because when we're talking about alcohol, what counts as one drink can be way different depending on what's being poured.
And that brings us to this key idea, the standard drink. Here in the US, a standard drink is any beverage that has about 14 grams of pure alcohol in it. So listen, it's not about how big your glass is, it's all about how much alcohol is in that glass.
So what does that actually look like? Well, to get that 14 grams of alcohol, you could have a 12-ounce beer, or you could have a 5-ounce glass of wine, or just a 1.5-ounce shot of something like whiskey or vodka. You can see right there, those are wildly different amounts of liquid, but they all deliver the exact same dose of alcohol to your system.
And all of this kind of builds up to the book's main theme. Dr. Dasgupta really frames our entire relationship with alcohol around one single powerful metaphor.
And this is it. Alcohol is a double-edged sword. This one idea is absolutely key to understanding its super complex effects on our health. One edge can actually offer some benefits, while the other, well, the other can cause some pretty serious harm. The author really says it best right here. The thing that separates the benefit from the harm isn't the alcohol itself, it's the dose. It's all about that fine line between moderation and excess. So you know what? Let's take a look at each side of that sword. First up, let's explore the more, let's say, appealing side of the sword, the potential upside. Now, the scientific literature that the author dives into does point to certain benefits that are associated with drinking in moderation.
Now, the key word you got to hear is linked. The book pulls from tons of studies and reports that moderate drinking is associated with some health benefits. For example, some really big studies have suggested a lower risk of heart disease and a certain type of stroke for moderate drinkers when you compare them to heavy drinkers or even to people who don't drink at all. But remember, these are correlations, not guarantees. They're just one side of the story.
But of course, there's the other, much sharper edge to that sword. And this is the side that public health messages are always and rightly focused on, the very real, very serious dangers of drinking too much.
And on this side, the science is absolutely crystal clear. Drinking too much is a direct cause of some severe health problems. The book goes into detail on the strong connections to liver cirrhosis, different types of cancer, pancreatitis. It can lead to a shorter lifespan and damage to other vital organs like your brain and your heart. This is that detrimental effect the author was talking about. So figuring out how to navigate this double-edged sword, it really just comes down to knowledge. To wrap things up, let's look at a few surprising facts from the book that can help all of us make smarter, more informed choices.
Okay, here's a good one. Fact or myth, non-alcoholic beer means zero alcohol. Well, it's a myth. Research that's cited in the book found that almost a third of these so-called non-alcoholic drinks that they tested actually had more alcohol than their labels said.
In fact, get this, some drinks that were marketed as having 0% alcohol were found to have up to 1.8% alcohol. Now, that's a small amount for sure, but it is definitely not zero, and that's something worth knowing. And finally, while the book is mostly non-judgmental, it just lays out the science, it makes one huge exception. And the author's advice here is direct and incredibly clear. Because fetal alcohol syndrome is totally preventable, the only safe choice is zero alcohol during pregnancy or when trying to become pregnant, period. You know, the goal here wasn't to tell you what to do. It was to give you the science, to show you both edges of that sword so you can make your own informed choices. So, we'll just leave you with this question. Now that you know the science, how will it inform your next choice? Thanks for tuning in.